day is a little confused, but I believe it's Friday, which leaves Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to the end of session. We have a lot of work still to do. While we don't have a featured chair here today, I believe that the FMLA agreement will be had, and we'll be running FMLA in the House today. I can't provide a lot of details because the chair is currently going through it with the administration and getting to the point to where we'll have the bill prepared, and then we'll share it with the Republicans also. We will probably caucus at least once today in the House. Not fully ready to caucus the budget yet, but we're getting there. The documents and the drafts are getting ready, and I know the administration was reaching out to the other side of the aisle to at least give them an update of where they think it's at. So that will happen today. But we are planning on being in session today, definitely tomorrow. Sunday is on hold with all of our members. We told them that in caucus yesterday. And then obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the resolutions are being drafted both for the continuation of regular business, if there's some extended filibuster and we have more things we need to do, or we move forward with the special session as requested by the governor for economic development and tolls. But everything's fluid. It's the last few days. Anything can happen, as we've all learned in the past. So I think you want to add anything before we open up to questions?
That's it. I think we'll be here, relatively late tonight, and it's exciting to get FMLA done. I know there's been a lot of questions about the best process and when we had the governor's amendments, and we think that we'll be able to address that in two vehicles. So one will be adopting SB1 and then amending another vehicle and sending it back up to the state senate.
Are you going to do this with the state senate on that? That they will take it back up?
Yeah, all the parties are finalizing the language now. But
Except,
yeah,
of course, the Republicans.
We trust the Senate will be able to accomplish the goal, the task which is their charge, yes.
You're working with the governor?
Are you doing the skinny version of public option?
Sean called me today on his way from Guilford. My daily call with him.
the drive time call.
He's got some changes to make, and I just talked to my minority leader about it. He's working very hard. We will get something done. I'm just not sure of the timing, but I'm very confident we'll get something done. He's worked very hard on it.
Well, what about the opioid tax as part of that bill? New York has been able to unsuccessfully implement it. It has been challenged in court.
No.
It's
That's what we talked.
Unconstitutional, and
we talked about that.
Okay.
And he understands. He's trying to figure it out, and he's been working his tail off, and he fully recognizes some of the things that you mentioned, and some of the industry groups have mentioned that to him as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to FMLA, the Black and Latino caucus raised concerns yesterday about the governor's plan for private insurance, that their track record hasn't always been so good in getting things reimbursed. Does that concern you, and do you really think that you can work in agreement with the governor?
Yeah, I think we can work out an agreement with the governor. I think the chairs of the Labor Committee said it pretty accurately, that their fear of that public-private partnership with delayed benefits or denied benefits, it would be an advantage to the companies. The governor was really committed as working through that to ensure that the benefits were provided when needed. The appeal process would be handled in-house. But the chairs are feeling a little bit more comfortable after extended conversations. And when that becomes available, you'll see the language, but it is negotiated language. The governor's given some.
More checks and balances?
Yeah.
Other than them being a big bad corporation who's evil,
Who's that?
Anybody would run this. Why is there an assumption that they would delay benefits if they're charged to do so? Because I work for a giant corporation, and all of our benefits are done through third-party providers.
Yeah.
So why would it be any different
I
than
think
at the state level?
I think that's the fear.
Well, why would it be?
Well, why does third-party administrators do it with workers' comp? Right? It's not to their advantage, but we know it happens with the workers' comp situation to where internal emails have been shared where it says deny to the point to where the commissioner makes you do something. So I don't think it'll happen either. I don't look at corporations, especially some of the large insurance companies we have in our state, as big bad evil. But I think the advocates want to ensure that there's safeguards in place so it doesn't happen. It doesn't become a workers' comp situation to where a third-party provider gets put into place and unnecessarily delays benefits that are entitled to the members.
And let's even go maybe a step stronger on this too. The goal of this program is so that individuals that have a child or who are very sick or who have loved ones who are very sick can take time off from work and still get paid, so they don't have to make that difficult decision. However this gets rolled out in the next couple of years, if we find that these individuals are not receiving their duly, the benefits that they've paid for, the legislature will obviously come down very, very hard. So I don't know where it goes a year from now and who's doing what at DOL versus this, but if this is their own money. This is not, this is serious business, and we expect those benefits to be paid to the people who deserve them and paid for them.
How confident are you that this is going to remain solvent? I know Republicans
Very.
have said this is going to be not solvent from the beginning, and there's issues with fraud.
They should read the bill, because it clearly states if there's any issue with solvency, the benefit level will be lowered. So they should read the bill. As far as fraud, there are safeguards put into place, and there's penalties put into place if there is a fraudulent use. So I feel very comfortable with how the bill's laid out on those particular subjects. And I'd be happy to have conversations on why with them.
Other states have this program. There's no widespread reporting of fraud or abuse. And look, I mean, let's say you have that mens rea. Okay, there's this notion that all employees are bad and they're just going to take advantage of a system and game it. I mean, is that really where we are as a country, where every employee's bad and do something bad? There are employers who do terrible things too. There's fraud in the stock market. There's fraud every day on employees and employers, but it's a small percentage of people. We regulate that system and we move on. This distrust of workers is just shocking to me, and you're not getting full pay. So you're trying to game the system. You're this mens rea to cheat, and your grand scheme is to take 6 weeks off and make less than you would if you work. I'm not a mastermind criminal, but that's not a great criminal enterprise.
Mr. Speaker, the tribes and Bridgeport are having ongoing negotiations over casino deals. Some of those meetings have happened here in your office.
Yes.
Do you support an exclusive deal between those parties to bring a casino to Bridgeport, and who would get access to sports gambling under such an agreement?
Yeah, so
That's a big question.
I've been consistent throughout, and again, this is my opinion, and that's why I thought it was important to bring the parties together. That when it comes to the sports gambling, expansion of casinos here in the state of Connecticut, and also sports tech and the partners we have with them, that we had to remain consistent and work with the partners that we have already established. That was the safest route forward for me, in my mind, which would be the lottery doing what the lottery does with the iLottery inclusion, some sort of partnership with sports tech and the tribes as it comes to sports gambling, and the economic development that Bridgeport needs. The key to that is Bridgeport really worked very hard with other providers to try to come up with an agreement. That doesn't look like anything was going to happen anytime soon. So I'm glad they had the conversation with the tribes of something that could become a reality fairly soon. Now that they're at least having those conversations, I think the global settlement for sports gambling, I'm going to loop the governor's office back into it now, because that was the basic premise that was holding everything up. It was the votes and it was Bridgeport. They were advocating for their communities. If there's an outline of a deal, I think we have an opportunity to do sports gambling, iLottery, expansions of casino both in East Windsor and Bridgeport, in a way that respects our current partners and doesn't exclude the state of Connecticut from making the type of money that we're seeing in other states.
Is part of the discussion that the tribes give up East Windsor? Because
No.
Okay, so how do you have a universal deal? In the governor's approach was try to push the tribes from East Windsor to Bridgeport. You sweeten it with sports betting, whatever, and then MGM is happy that they don't have East Windsor on their doorstep.
Look, let me say this. I'm not in the business of making companies happy. So whether MGM's happy or not happy, it really doesn't matter to me. I'm in the business of working with the constituents that I have here in this chamber and the constituents of the state of Connecticut. Sports gambling is happening now throughout this state, and it's happening in a way that is not only unsafe, it's dangerous.
So
Earlier-
under
Wait,
the,
hold it. So to pull sports gambling out of the shadows and make it a legitimate operation, ensure the state of Connecticut is getting the money they deserve, That's what I'm into. MGM's total goal, and I don't blame them for it, is they want to have a successful casino in Springfield. East Windsor was going to interfere with that. MGM is now also interested in Empire Casino and bringing table games and everything there. That's their business. That's fine. They take care of their business. I need to look out for what we have here in the state of Connecticut. And in my opinion, an MGM casino in Bridgeport was never going to happen because of the compact that we have with the tribes. So let's put a plan on the table that could actually pass.
Earlier this week, you said you were meeting with Sportech.
Yes,
It's my
I ha-
understanding that meeting
Hasn't happened yet.
hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
They're not mentioned in the language with the Bridgeport bill. Does this mean that they're out of the picture?
No. I think the Bridgeport bill, that's not a bill that I authored. That's a bill that the representatives from the Bridgeport area put on the table for the start of a discussion. So that's all it is.
So under that legislation though,
Mhm.
it appears that sports gambling would only be permitted in the casinos. Is that true, or are you working on a deal that would allow other operators to run sports gambling in the state?
I don't know about other operators, because then again, you have another compact issue. Okay, so I mean, we always have to go back to the compact, and with other providers, you have a compact issue. But what sports gambling looks like in the state is yet to be determined.
Following up a little bit on part of what Paz was asking regarding East Windsor. So the tribes had taken ownership of that site already, and they described it as shovel-ready, though the shovels haven't moved yet. In Bridgeport, however, how would that arrangement work? Would the state provide any money to actually build this casino, or would it be an entirely private enterprise by the tribal nations?
If this was to happen, and there's a lot of ifs here, but I understand from the initial conversations that Bridgeport is very interested in economic development. They have many sites that they've been working on for the past few years for various things. That if this is something that can come together in a way that provides excellent jobs to the city of Bridgeport, offers the opportunity for additional economic development, it would be some sort of partnership. As far as the state of Connecticut providing any money, the only things that we're looking at for Bridgeport right now specifically, and something that's long overdue, is the train station. So that's where the state is. We're on infrastructure with Bridgeport, and what we did at Steel Point obviously is coming to fruition now. So
So you wouldn't build a casino for them?
no.
Both MGM and Sportech say that they have a strong lawsuit against the state if an exclusive deal with the tribes were awarded. How will you avoid that kind of
Sports Tech
lawsuit?
should take a nice deep breath, and MGM was going to sue no matter what we did.
And those lawsuits, no one can make those go away, right? At the end of the day, they can file lawsuits over East Windsor. They can do the same over Bridgeport, and that's why you have a judicial system that'll work out.
So
Is
this
this
something
an
you try
issue
and
for
get done
now?
before-
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask, is this something you could try and get done before next Wednesday, or is this a strike all amendment?
Extremely hard, but we're all here. It's like the captive audience meeting for legislators, right? We're here, we're stuck here, we're going to have these conversations. So it is possible, but obviously the governor's office needs to be brought up to speed. Ultimately, whatever we pass, they have to sign.
And
Can
from
you-
a special,
What are the odds?
on the
What are the
special,
odds of this holding up?
but if you're talking about special session, the speaker makes the final call for our caucus, though. There's a lot of economic development attached to this. There's a lot of revenue. There's a lot of jobs associated. So if you're looking for situations why you want to go into special session, you have to have a compelling case.
what
And
was
this
the-
might be a compelling case.
What was the number from Rhode Island last month?
I think it was $17 million wagered in the small state of Rhode Island. And again, it's happening everywhere. Everywhere. I bet there was just 4 sports bets made in the hallway about the Red Sox Yankees tonight. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And so people are going to want to have it in Connecticut. It's good for young people. It's a big deal. If the
What
speaker
are the
can broker
odds of this
we're
whole
gonna
thing?
do
We've
it.
been talking about this for 20 years, okay? Roland, they were gonna do a casino in Bridgeport when Roland was here, 20 years ago. Well, is this completely pie in the sky, or what are we talking about?
The
here?
odds are better today than they were yesterday.
What does that mean?
Means we're having a conversation, so there's a chance.
Okay,
Joe,
back to the session here in the next 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
What are the odds of a bill cobbling together in an actual debate and an actual vote in this in the world of reality?
Wait, can I bet on that first?
Okay.
Oh.
So being very clear, you know how terrible I am at this.
It's
so I'm
okay.
just starting with that. I would put the odds somewhere around 20%.
I'll take
Of a
Mr.
that.
vote
Speaker.
or of
Can
this
the
happening?
majority of people who actually,
It has a better
who
track
actually,
record.
with all
I'm
due
not sure that's
respect,
true. I just don't make them. That's all. That's the difference.
All
no, seriously, Matt. I mean, is there a practical way to do? Given what that debate would look like, given the fact that the administration is completely blindsided by the speaker's efforts on this,
I don't know blindsided is fair. They knew about the meeting before the people entered
they
the
knew
room.
about the
They
meeting.
said in a statement last night that they have not participated in any of these conversations and have no firsthand knowledge of them. So they've been having these conversations for months. Last week you had a meeting with the tribes in Bridgeport in this office. You've had meetings with other gaming partners subsequently and up until yesterday. So why bring this to your office and try to negotiate the deal yourself now?
Because I believe it's something that we need to move forward with.
And is that going to be a successful strategy to just present this to the governor's office after you work it out yourselves?
The governor and his staff, both governors, Malloy and Governor Lamont, have been trying to come to an agreement on this. And for various reasons, none of which are their direct fault, it's fallen short. I was not willing to give up on the idea. So I asked the participants to come back in and have a conversation to see if we can get anything going. I don't see anything wrong with that. My feelings aren't hurt because the governor reached an agreement with the hospital. I was very happy. I had tried to reach an agreement with the hospital last year, and I couldn't do it to the point that satisfied the hospitals. The governor did it. So if we're able to work it out, I think we have a good enough relationship with the governor's office. We go over there, we talk to them, we lay out the parameters. As long as they're consistent with what they're comfortable with, we move forward.
Has Senate leadership participated in any of these meetings?
Yes.
Would this be a subject for a special session, say, I don't know when, that might have something to do with transportation and economic development? I'm just spitballing here because I've heard some talk here at this table about the possibility of one. So I mean,
I think it was-
seriously,
I think it
seriously,
could
is this-
fall into that category.
I mean, isn't this, you know, and then won't people? What would you say to people who make a connection? Should the Bridgeport delegation
On
decide
which
to
one, though?
support tolls?
They were all along.
Okay. Well, I don't cover the. So I really couldn't say.
The
There's no nexus between the two.
Bridgeport delegation, they are a very good delegation. They fight very hard for their city, and they understand what transportation infrastructure means there.
So,
And
just
you
to
don't-
borrow from my friend here to the left, what are the odds of this coming up in a special session? Would you say they're better
No, they're
than the
probably
odds
about
of
the
this
same.
coming up?
They're probably about the same. Look,
Yeah.
this is I don't know, what's the sports analogy? This is like a Hail Mary pass to try to get this to work out.
So when the administration was doing this, the feedback.
That's a good analogy.
Hail Mary.
Yeah, it's more realistic than,
Yeah,
well, whatever.
20%.
Doug Flutie. With the Cordell Stewart.
The price.
Wow, that's
Michigan.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Michigan,
Yeah.
wow.
I know my stuff.
You're getting better.
I know my stuff.
Class, come to when the administration was trying to do this, they couldn't because the feedback was the price demanded by the tribes to go into Bridgeport and cannibalize their own market that's now going to their two casinos, that their price was far too high for that to be realistic. So what can you tell us today about what is the price the tribes have set to open a casino in Bridgeport?
I don't think they have. I know Mayor Ganem was up here arguing strenuously for his town. I know there was no agreement reached in this office, and the discussion was, let's circle back. And then yesterday evening, I got the same news all you did, that they continued the conversation after they left this office, and that there was at least enough of agreement for the Bridgeport delegation to put in the bill, knowing that it would at least spur on further negotiations. So that's what I can absolutely tell you.
And what made this all hard for a long time, right, was the fight between southeastern Connecticut and Bridgeport.
Mm-hmm.
If the speaker's negotiations are able to bridge that divide, I think that would help a lot.
And the MGM lawsuit threat, which is definite, because that's how they operate.
Maybe. That's before they
Have they ever not sued?
Well, they opened Empire Casino. They have some financial issues they're dealing with now. They're laying off workers. It changes perspective sometimes.
Well, that's true. Question is, that has zero impact on what you're talking about. It sounded like you said you're not here to make MGM happy. In other words, an MGM lawsuit that could tie this up for years has zero impact on your thinking.
They are going to sue, in my opinion, no matter what.
Yeah, right.
They have a casino in Springfield that they want business to come to.
Right.
East Windsor is currently on the books and approved, and as soon as the shovels go in the ground and start to be built, they're gonna file another lawsuit. So it's not like we're avoiding anything.
Right. In other words, the Bridgeport is irrelevant when you think about it from the standpoint of if East Windsor's, there's going to be a lawsuit no matter what, whether you build Bridgeport or not,
Yeah.
right? So that just
Okay, so that's
that
not
doesn't
really
change
your
the dynamic
thinking
when
if
you
I'm
think
hearing
about
you.
it, right?
You're not really thinking
And I
about
get what the
it.
governor's office is trying to do. And they're trying to say, can you make that lawsuit go away? Because look, I've said this before. It's not a legal theory that's frivolous, and it's going to be a federal judge who's going to weigh. It's a relatively interesting intellectual debate about whether it violates the Commerce Clause and due process. And
Yeah.
Bob Clark's one of the sharpest guys on this issue and many issues, and he'll tell you the same thing. It's an interesting legal issue. Yeah.
For
No, I'm only
Bridgeport?
asking because
Yeah.
East Windsor's been going on for years. And why would we think for a minute that Bridgeport wouldn't go on just as long?
I don't think we do, right? I think people understand
Okay.
that.
For the Bridgeport delegation, this is a huge change in stance from them saying we support an open competitive process no matter what, to now we will sign an exclusive deal with the tribes and only if that deal doesn't work out, then we'll do the open process. How is that gonna fly in your chamber?
I would say the draft of the bill is just that. It's a draft to start the negotiations. I wouldn't tie any strict policy to it, other than that our tribal partners in the Bridgeport delegation are having conversations that are farther down the road than they've ever been, which will enable us to move forward with legislation.
And one must be flexible in this building.
Yeah.
What's the plan on the budget? You said you weren't going to be,
It's
you're
the
going to be
budget clap. Did you see that?
you're
That's
going to
the
be
budget.
semi-caucusing
I'm glad
it
somebody
today.
reminded
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
important.
the
We
other
may have some
day-
time today with a long debate that may give people a chance to come in here and get some questions
Well, and
answered.
then I'm just saying, you said yesterday about
Huh?
48 hours from the time of a handshake deal, so.
Yeah. So
No,
yesterday was
no.
the handshake.
I will. He doesn't have to.
The proverbial handshake. The caucus was briefed on the top lines prior to that. Hopefully the documents, at least in a more coherent draft form, will be ready today. I've told the Republican leader that I will share it with her also. And then we'll go into caucus and run through it. The town runs and everything else will probably not be ready till tomorrow. But as of right now, it's our intention to run the bill first thing tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, really?
Yes.
But aren't folks
Good.
gonna wanna look at
It's
those
optimistic.
town
No Jack Ritter
runs
T-ball
and-
game, but that's okay.
And look at the numbers and
That's
crunch the
it.
numbers and
I-
call back home and see if mom is all right with it?
Based upon the budgets that the municipalities have adopted, taking into consideration the teachers' pension payments,
Yeah.
which many of them did, taking into consideration the different phasing of the ECS. I don't know that there's a municipality that's gonna make out less well than they were on their budgets adopted. So I think it's gonna be fairly easy to look at the town.
Even
runs.
the more affluent communities that lose ECS funding under the bipartisan deal, which is still in there, that ECS funding, they were the ones who were paying a larger teacher pension. And when we heard from most of our members, they didn't budget the whole thing. They might have done 25%, 50%. So I said, don't look at your number run. Call your finance director, your first look at a mayor, see what they budgeted, then look at your number run, and you're gonna be up.
Yeah.
Is it-
Last
is it-
one, then we gotta
yeah,
go
yeah,
to
is there a
capital.
possibility that we might see some Democratic amendments to this budget plan that might propose additional
I don't think so.
tax changes that perhaps we're not
You
negotiating?
might see me come off the dais if that happens.
There is. No, I don't think
usually,
so.
I've seen that before, so foolish question perhaps, but I think one worth asking.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Our caucus had a great meeting yesterday, and I know Representative Ritter, Majority Leader Ritter, take that really personal. He works very hard to ensure that he's in contact with the members all the time, and the reception to what we proposed and what we talked about was very good.
And there's
Well,
a
not for
difference
nothing,
between being
but-
disappointed that something's not in the budget and voting no, or
An amendment.
that is a whole different level
Well, yeah.
of bad.
Yeah, yeah, well, I understand.
That won't
You-
happen.
You just,
Bad
you
news.
have
Well, I
76
mean, do you
votes
really
and
know where you
play.
stand? Because my understanding from the members of your caucus that I spoke to is that they really didn't get much detail at all, and that it
We know
was
where
a
we
budget
stand.
caucus that
We know. The budget will pass tomorrow.
Easily.
Okay. Before you run, the Republicans last night were all hot and bothered about the fact that one of your members wandered over behind Representative Dubitsky. It made for a wonderful still photograph taken off of CTN, and that was Representative Hughes.
No relation.
Was there any?
Wow.
He's great, Leon. Paul,
there-
come sit over here with us.
Ready to go.
If you
Anyway.
follow us in the chamber, that's,
We'll address
we're gonna
it in the
address it
chamber.
right now.
We'll address it. It's serious and we need to address
It's
it.
gonna be the first thing I talk about after we ask if there's any business on the clerk's desk.
Okay.
Okay?
Any idea where the revenue